All right, welcome back, everybody. Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920. The Jersey, 609-919-9200 is the number if you want to hop on board with us. Last night, it was a very special night in Philadelphia. The Phillies did lose 15-5, but it went much more than that. There were standing ovations during the entire game for Chase Utley, who made his return to Philadelphia, and the man that introduced him is the longtime Philadelphia Phillies PA announcer, been doing it strong since 1972, and that's Dan Baker. Dan, thanks for a few minutes, and welcome back to the show. How are you?
Good to be with you, Zach. Last night was pretty exciting.
No doubt about that. And before we even get into the home runs and the reaction from the fans, can you just introduce Chase Utley for us on the show? Because last night you did it in such an exceptional way.
Leading off for the Los Angeles Dodgers, number 26, second baseman Chase Utley.
That's unbelievable. Last night when you make that announcement, you knew the fans were going to give him the proper standing ovation. Give us your perspective from what the fans did last night and the reaction from the fans.
Well, you know, Zach, being from Philadelphia and being a huge Philadelphia sports fan myself and rooting for all the Philly teams, you know, I feel the same way the fans do. I react the same way the fans do, although over the microphone I can't. You know, you have to maintain your professionalism. But I was glad to see such a positive response. As you know, Philadelphia sports fans have come in for their share of criticism for boorish behavior, and that has happened on occasion. But the vast majority of fans are very knowledgeable, very passionate, very supportive, and it was good to see this outpouring of affection and admiration for the Phillies' greatest second baseman of all time.
The round of applause were just so fantastic last night, and it's very rare, and it takes a certain special individual to get that applause in an opposing uniform, and you knew it was going to happen. But it was a picture-perfect night for Chase Utley. He hits a solo home run and then a grand slam, and he got not one but two curtain calls. It was just awesome last night, and the Phillies lost. You never thought you'd be seeing that in Philadelphia, the fans cheering for the opposition.
Well, the only thing I would have changed was for the Phillies to win. But I'm willing to concede the two home runs. Just would have preferred Phillies victory. And it wasn't the case last night. But, the Dodgers are a pretty good team. You know, they're battling with the Giants for the NL West title. And the Phillies are rebuilding. Everybody knows that. But Zach, there's a lot to be excited about given this Phillies rebuilding process, because I think they've made great strides. To look back to just 1 year ago when our record at the end of the year was 63-99, and a Major League worst record. And right now we look like, we might win around 75 games or something, which if that occurs, and there's a very good possibility it could, that would be like a 12-game improvement. That's significant. There's a lot of good young players on the 2016 Phillies, and there are many outstanding prospects throughout the system, and especially at the upper levels at AAA Lehigh Valley and AA Reading. And I've talked to a number of scouts who are very complimentary of what the Phillies are doing, how they're doing it, and the number of prospects that we now have in the system, which, as you know, Zach, a few years ago we were devoid of.
Yeah, no question about that as Dan Baker joins us. And a big reason for that is the message that's being delivered from the manager and Pete Mackanin, and I have trust in him that he's going to be around here for a long time. And I do like the direction that this franchise is moving in under Matt Klentak and Andy McPhail. But that leadership of the manager this year, Pete Mackanin, who was in a tough spot with not a lot of talent ready to win, I think he's done an exceptional job this year, Dan.
I agree with you, Zach, and you've mentioned Andy McPhail, Phillies president, Matt Klentak, Phillies general manager, Um, Andy McPhail, what a baseball pedigree he has. Both his grandfather, Larry McPhail, his father, Lee McPhail, are members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Andy himself was the general manager for a couple of Minnesota Twins World Series champions. He helped rebuild the Cubs at one point. He helped helped rebuild the Baltimore Orioles. A lot of the good young players that helped the Orioles to emerge from a number of losing seasons, and they're very competitive right now. Andy played a big part in that. So I think the Phillies are very lucky to have him. He recognizes the importance of building from within, building through the farm system, player development, scouting, and so forth, as does Matt Klentak, who is a disciple, after all, of Andy's. And, Andy McPhail will tell you that if you trust the process, you will be rewarded. And that's happened to him with 3 other organizations, and I know he's going to see it through here to a successful conclusion.
You've been doing this for a long time, and you've seen a lot of wins. You've seen the franchise at their best and also at their worst. How do you know when a young player has what it takes? What do you look for with the youngster?
Sometimes it's not so easy to define, Zach. You can tell when you watch them play, like a young Chase Utley, a young Jimmy Rollins, a young Ryan Howard. Some have it and some don't. And it's not always just about skill set or talent level. There are those intangible qualities, leadership and hard work, and that you can't always measure, but when you see it, you know it. And we've seen it before. I started in '72, and when I did, the Phillies were not a very good ball club. Veterans Stadium opened in '71. I started the second year at a vet, but they had a lot of good young kids coming along then. Greg Luzinski, Mike Schmidt, Larry Boa, Denny Doyle, Bob Boone, and Larry Christensen, Dick Ruthven, and then the more recent run, 2007 to 2011. I mentioned Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, and of course Shane Victorino, a Rule 5 pick, Carlos Ruiz, and Jason Worth, a free agent. The Phillies did a really good job of supplementing the homegrown talent, with free agents and some trade acquisitions. My sense is that this current group, a number of whom aren't even on a big league club yet, have a high ceiling, and only time will tell, Zach. But most baseball observers feel that the Phillies have greatly strengthened their farm system in the last couple of years, and time will tell. I think we're heading in the right direction.
Getting back to Chase Utley, you saw so many of his games, all of his home games, and you saw him at his pinnacle when he won the World Series in 2008. I had Matt Stairs on the show yesterday, and he was talking about the countless amount of memories that he had about Chase. And for everyone in Philadelphia, it starts with the parade at Citizens Bank Ballpark and him screaming "World effing champions." But just what were some of your favorite memories of Chase Utley in a Phillies uniform?
Well, the ultimate professional, always hustling, asked for no quarters. He was just the ultimate competitor, and set a good example, for his teammates. And then as he became a veteran player, the younger players, the kind of a guy you can build a winning team around, and he just generates so much excitement. Well, Zach, when you look at the way the fans reacted to him, and they reacted to him in a way that we have seen very few times in Philadelphia sports history when he came back last night. So, usually there's always, some small amount of negative reaction, mixed in with all of the positive response. Of course, with Chase, there's none. He seems to have almost 100% support of the fans, and I just think it speaks volumes about his work ethic, his loyalty. He's just a great baseball player and a great person.
And he represented this city greatly. And if you win, you're always remembered in this town, in a town that is so hungry for a winner. But the way that he carried himself, that blue-collar mentality, really just identified himself with the city of Philadelphia. And also Chase Utley, and you see it with some special players in the franchise. It's not only the way that they produce on the field, but it's the way they interact off the field, engaging with fans, getting to know everyone in the ballpark, from the people upstairs, even to the security guards, and a guy like yourself, the public address announcer. So I'm just wondering, did you and Chase talk yesterday, and what was that conversation like, if you did, before the game?
I did not have a chance to talk with Chase yesterday. I'm hoping that I'll have a chance today or tomorrow. But he was in it when I came down to the field, and as you know, I think I'm one of the few announcers, maybe the only public address announcer in Major League Baseball that does the lineups from the field and serves as an on-field host for the other pregame events. And so normally I'd have a chance to see him there, but Chase did not come out into the on-deck circle beforehand, just before the game started, as frequently the leadoff batter will. If he did, I would have had a chance to talk with him at that time. And he had a press conference at 4:15 yesterday, and to discuss his return, and I was not at that press conference.
Nah, well, he was definitely busy yesterday, and I'm sure you were busy as well, as Dan Baker joins us. But if you look at that era of Phillies baseball, and it was a special one, and it concluded with that championship, and then you had the downfall of it, but you take that championship any day. That era is synonymous with the three names on the field every day of Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, and Chase Utley. After having Jimmy and Chase no longer here, and Ryan end his career, or his Phillies career, probably this year, just what do those three players mean to you looking back at it all these years?
Well, Zach, they may be the three best players at their position in Phillies history. We've had some really good shortstops, Larry Bowa, certainly. But Jimmy Rollins is the best Philly shortstop of all time. Chase Utley is the best Philly second baseman of all time. Ryan Howard is the best Phillies first baseman of all time. When you're talking about a franchise that started in 1883. So here we are 133 years later. In all of those years, you got the best first baseman, best second baseman, best shortstop. And, that run, and in all of that time, Zach, to, again, put it into historical perspective, there's only been one time where we've gone to back-to-back World Series, 2008 and 2009, just once. These guys were the big reason for that. We've had some other really good Phillies teams, but no other team has gone to back-to-back World Series.
Before we let you run, Dan Baker, I'm just wondering, because you've been around this team for a very, very, very long time, since 1972, and you've seen a lot of Phillies baseball, and you probably know the team better than anybody. But from your perspective, what was your best day on the job, and what was your worst day on the job?
Well, the best day on the job is winning the World Series in 1980 and 2008. The team championship, the joy that it brought to the city, the joy that it brought to Philadelphia sports fans. Those were the best days. Some other highlights would, of course, include, working 5 World Series, announcing 2 Major League Baseball All-Star games, introducing President Gerald Ford at the 1976 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Those are all highlights. Introducing so many Hall of Famers. There's, I hate to mention names because I don't want to leave anybody out. I just think so highly of all of these great players. But one of my heroes growing up was Dick Allen. As a Rookie of the Year in 1964. I started in 72. And Dick came back to the Phillies for a second time in 75 and 76. His first tour of duty with the Phillies was 1963 through 1969. And, of course, he had some of the longest home runs in Major League Baseball at that time. So it was a great, great honor for me to introduce Dick Allen when he returned to the Phillies in 75 and 76. And, of course, the Phillies won the NL East in 76. It marked their first return to the postseason since winning the pennant in 1950. Robin Roberts was my hero growing up. He won 20 games or more 6 straight seasons from 1950 through 1955, leading the Whiz Kids to the National League pennant in 1950. I guess the worst was the negative reaction to J.D. Drew, if you remember that,
yes.
Zach. Maybe you're too young.
No, I remember.
It's just unfortunate because I don't like to see listen, the Philadelphia sports fans are entitled to voice their displeasure.
With the batteries, yeah.
Yeah, I think when it gets into, cursing or throwing things onto the field, that's crossing the line. And the shame of it was that there were only a very small number of people that did that. The vast majority of fans, were expressed their disregard for J.D. Drew with, booing and so forth. But I'd rather, the fans take the high road and, cheer for, accomplishments as opposed to, the booing and that part of it. And that probably, but there's so many highlights. It's such a joy to go to that ballpark every day. This is my 45th year. Another 5 years, Zach, I'll be only the third PA announcer in Major League Baseball in history to announce for 50 years or more for one team. Bob Shepard of the Yankees from 1951 through 2007. Pat Piper of the Cubs from 1916 through 1974 are the only other two that I'm aware of.
Well, Dan, congratulations. We appreciate you coming on the show, and I know you'll be excited to get back to the ballpark tonight and introduce Chase Utley and other Phillies and Dodger players tonight. But, Dan, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach. Best of luck.